Hi, this is Brad, and welcome to Brad English Podcast, your daily English listening podcast helping you speak English naturally. Hello, and welcome back to your English podcast. I am really happy you are here today because this episode is going to be one of the most useful things you have ever listened to. Today, we are going to go through 100 sentences together, not just any sentences. These are the sentences that come up again and again in real English conversations. They are the kind of sentences that native speakers use every single day. And they are exactly the sentences you need to sound natural, confident, and fluent. Now, you do not need to memorize all 100 sentences at once. The goal today is simple. You listen to each sentence, you understand the idea behind it, and you let it become familiar. When something becomes familiar, it stops feeling foreign. It starts feeling like yours. That is how language learning works. It is not about studying harder. It is about spending more time with the language until it feels like home. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, A2-B1, and let us get started with the first group of sentences. These are the sentences that will open every door for you in English. The very first thing that happens in any English conversation is a greeting, and most learners get nervous right at this moment. The good news is that introductions in English are actually very simple, and once you have practiced a few key sentences, you will feel completely comfortable. Start with the most basic sentence. Hello. My name is your name, and I am from your country. This sentence is enough to open any conversation anywhere in the world. You do not need a complicated introduction. You just need a clear, warm, and confident one. After your name and where you are from, the next most useful thing you can say is what you do. Something like, I work as a teacher, or I am a student at university, or I run a small business. These sentences immediately give the other person something to respond to. And that is how a real conversation begins. You are not just introducing yourself, you are opening a door. You are giving the other person a reason to ask you another question. There are also a few sentences that help when you do not understand something. For example, sorry, could you say that again? Or can you speak a little slower, please? These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of intelligence. Every fluent speaker uses these sentences when they need to. Knowing how to ask for help inside a conversation is one of the most powerful tools you can have in English. One of the hardest things for English learners is not starting a conversation, but keeping it going. You say hello, you introduce yourself, and then there is a silence. You do not know what to say next. This is where small talk sentences become incredibly important. Small talk is the light, friendly conversation that fills the space between two people. It is not deep or serious. It is just warm and human. Sentences like, how was your day? Or what do you do for fun? Or have you been here before? Are small talk sentences, and they work in almost any situation. The trick with small talk is to always give the other person something back. For example, if someone asks you, how are you? Do not just say, fine, thank you. Say, I am good, thank you. It has been a busy week, but a good one. I guess be now again. How about you? That extra little sentence pulls the other person back into the conversation. It shows you are interested. It shows you are engaged. And it makes the conversation feel natural and easy instead of stiff and awkward. You should also learn a few transition sentences that help you move from one topic to another. Things like, that reminds me of something. Or, actually, speaking of that, I wanted to ask you. Or, by the way, have you ever tried? These small phrases are what make a conversation flow. They are the invisible connections between ideas, and learning them will make your English sound much more natural and effortless. One of the best topics to practice in English is your daily routine, because it is something you already know perfectly. You do not need to search for ideas. You do not need to look up facts. You just need to describe what you already do every single day, and the words for that are not complicated at all. Start with simple sentences like, I usually wake up at 7 in the morning, or I make coffee before I do anything else, or I check my messages while I eat breakfast. These are real sentences that real people say every day. What makes routine sentences so powerful for your learning is that they use very common verbs in the present simple tense. Verbs like wake up, get dressed, have breakfast, leave the house, take the bus, arrive at work. When you practice these verbs in the context of your own morning, they stop being vocabulary items on a list, and they start being part of your real life. That connection between language and your personal experience is what makes words stick in your memory. Try to add a little bit of detail to your routine sentences as well, because detail is what makes conversation interesting. Instead of just saying, I eat breakfast, try saying, I usually eat toast and eggs for breakfast. And I always try to eat at the kitchen table instead of in front of my phone. That one extra detail paints a picture. It makes the listener feel they know you a little better. And the more specific and personal your English becomes, the more natural and confident it will sound to anyone who hears it. The evening part of your routine is just as important to practice as the morning, and it often leads to much more interesting conversations because it involves your personal choices, your hobbies, and the things you do just for yourself. Sentences like, after work, I usually cook dinner at home, or in the evenings, I like to read or watch something on television, or I try to go for a short walk before bed because it helps me relax, are all wonderful sentences that reveal something real and personal about who you are. Free time sentences are also a fantastic way to connect with other people. Because everyone has things they enjoy doing outside of work and responsibilities. When you can say clearly, I am really interested in photography, or I've been learning to cook recently, or I spend a lot of my free time reading about history, you are giving the other person a real glimpse into your world. These sentences build connection, and connection is the whole point of language. You are not just practicing English, you are practicing being a person in another language. A very useful phrase to know for this part of the conversation is, I have been doing this for a while. It sounds natural, and it tells people you have some experience with something. You might say, I have been running 3 times a week for about 2 years now, or I have been trying to learn English seriously for about 6 months. These sentences show commitment and consistency, and they always make a good impression on the person you are speaking with. Evening and free time sentences might seem like simple small talk, but they are actually some of the most revealing and memorable things you can say. Whether you use English at work, at school, or in professional situations, having a good set of clear and confident sentences is absolutely essential. The workplace has its own language, and while it does not need to be complicated, it does need to be polite, clear, and professional. Sentences like, could you send me that information when you have a moment? Or, I just wanted to follow up on our conversation from yesterday. Or, I am working on that right now and I will have it ready by this afternoon, are the kinds of sentences that make you sound completely at ease in a professional English-speaking environment. In meetings and group discussions, there are a few specific sentences that are incredibly useful. Saying, I agree with that point, and I would also like to add, is a great way to participate in a discussion without interrupting or taking over. Similarly, that is a good idea. Could we also consider shows that you are thoughtful and collaborative. These sentences do not require advanced grammar. They require confidence and practice. And the more you say them, the more naturally they will come to you in real situations. In a classroom or learning environment, the sentences you need are slightly different but equally important. Being able to say, I am not sure I understood that completely. Could you explain it in a different way? Shows that you are engaged and serious about learning. Or saying, I have a question about something we discussed earlier, shows that you are paying attention and thinking deeply. These sentences position you as a strong, active learner. En zal bij uitstekend leren by, and they will earn you respect from any teacher or professor regardless of your current level of English. Talking about the future is one of the most exciting topics in English conversation because it shows ambition, hope, and imagination. Future sentences use very simple structures that even beginner learners can master quickly. The most common ones are I am planning to, and I would like to, and my goal is to. These three structures can carry almost any idea you want to express about what you want to do in the future, and they always make a positive impression on the person you are speaking with. Think about what you actually want to achieve in the next few months or years, and practice putting those real goals into English sentences. If you want to improve your English, you can say, my goal is to feel comfortable having conversations in English by the end of this year. If you are thinking about a career change, you might say, I am planning to take some professional courses and move into a different field in the next 2 years. When your future sentences are about your real life and your real dreams, they come out with genuine emotion, and that emotion makes your English sound alive. And one of the most powerful future sentences you can learn is also one of the simplest. I hope that one day. This sentence lets you share your deepest wishes and dreams in a gentle, humble way. You might say, I hope that one day I will be able to travel to many different countries. Or, I hope that one day I can have a full conversation in English without thinking about it at all. Sharing genuine hopes and dreams in a conversation creates a deep human connection. And that is ultimately what language is for. It is for connecting one human being to another. Being able to talk about your feelings in English is one of the most important skills you can develop, and it is also one that most learners do not practice enough. Many learners can talk about events and facts in English, but when it comes to expressing emotions, they suddenly feel lost. This is because feelings are personal, and personal language requires a different kind of confidence. But the sentences themselves are not difficult at all. Start with the basics. I feel happy today. I am a little nervous about something. I have been feeling a bit tired lately. I feel really proud of how far I have come. These simple sentences are the foundation. What makes emotional language powerful is specificity. Instead of just saying, I feel bad, try to find the more exact word. Do you feel disappointed, frustrated, overwhelmed, or just a little sad? Well, each of these words carries a slightly different meaning, and using the right one shows that you understand your own feelings clearly. Some useful emotional vocabulary for English learners includes words like grateful, which means feeling thankful for something good in your life, inspired, which means feeling excited and motivated by something you heard or saw, and proud, which means feeling good and satisfied about something you did or achieved. And there is also a very important emotional skill in English that many learners do not know. The skill of expressing mixed feelings. Real life is complicated, and emotions are rarely simple. Being able to say, I feel excited about this new opportunity, but I am also a little nervous, or I am happy for my friend. But honestly, I also feel a little envious, shows emotional intelligence and linguistic maturity. Envious means wishing you had something that someone else has. When you can express mixed and complex emotions in English, you stop sounding like a language learner and you start sounding like a real person having a real conversation. Sharing your opinion in English is a skill that will serve you in every area of your life, from casual conversations with friends to professional discussions at work. The most important thing to know is that in English conversation, especially in professional or international settings, our opinions are usually expressed politely and with some softening language. Instead of saying, you are wrong, English speakers tend to say, I see it a little differently, or I am not sure I completely agree with that. These phrases allow you to disagree without creating conflict or damaging the relationship. To agree with someone, you have many options. Beyond just saying yes, you can say things like, what, that is exactly how I see it too. or I completely agree with you on that, or you make a really good point. These phrases are warm and affirming, and they encourage the other person to keep sharing. In a good conversation, both people feel heard and respected, and using agreement phrases well is a big part of creating that feeling. Even partially agreeing is an important skill. I think you are right about that, though I also wonder if, when you want to share your own opinion on something, the most natural way to introduce it in English is with phrases like, in my opinion, or personally, I think that, or from my experience, I have found that. These openers signal to the other person that what follows is your personal view, not a statement of absolute fact. This is very important in English culture where people appreciate the difference between personal opinion and objective truth. Learning to use these phrases will not only make your English more natural, but it will also make you a more thoughtful and respectful conversational partner. And being a good conversational partner is ultimately the highest achievement in any language. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We have covered a lot of ground together. We talked about greetings and introductions, daily routines, work and future goals, feelings, and how to share your opinions in English. In each of these areas gave you a new set of sentences, and each sentence is a small building block in the bigger structure of your English fluency. The most important thing I want you to take away from today is this: you do not need to be perfect to communicate in English. You need to be brave enough to try, consistent enough to keep practicing, and patient enough to let the language grow inside you over time. Every sentence you heard today is a seed. Water it with practice, with listening, cheer with daily effort, and one day it will grow into something beautiful. Come back to this episode often. Listen again. Notice new things each time. And remember that the goal is not just to speak English. The goal is to feel free in English. Keep going. You are closer than you think.